In a world where shouting wins followers, silence is seen as weakness. But what if the loudest person in the room is actually the most lost? You were taught to speak your mind, to act fast, to stay busy. But what if real power comes from thinking less, talking less, and doing only what truly matters? Modern society rewards urgency, outrage, and noise. But Stoicism teaches a paradox. The calmer you become, the stronger you are. Welcome to StoicCraft, a channel dedicated to helping people reclaim their peace, purpose, and personal power through timeless Stoic wisdom. Here, we don't chase motivation. We train discipline. We don't react to the world. We master ourselves. Whether you're facing chaos in your career, relationships, or just within your own mind, you'll find grounded insight and real tools to rise quietly, unshakably. Subscribe and take the first step toward becoming the calmest, clearest version of yourself in a world that never stops shouting. It's not what happens to you, it's how you respond. It's not what happens to you that harms you, but how you choose to deal with it. That's what Epictetus taught. And it's never felt more relevant. Ever feel like your mind's sprinting in every direction? Like you're talking more than you should, overthinking everything and somehow still missing what truly matters? In a world saturated with noise where snap judgments are praised and speaking first is seen as confidence, many of us have lost our grip. We're exhausted, scattered, and disconnected from any real sense of power. But the Stoics figured this out long ago. Real strength doesn't mean doing more. It means doing better. It's not about shouting louder than the crowd. It's knowing when silence speaks louder than any voice. It's not thinking endlessly, it's thinking wisely. And when we apply this, we don't just survive the noise, we rise above it. In this reflection on Stoic philosophy, you'll discover how to reclaim focus, regain clarity, and build an inner calm that doesn't rattle. You'll learn how to master your thoughts, tame your emotions, and show up with presence even in total silence. You're not weak for feeling overwhelmed. You're not broken for struggling in a world designed to distract you. But today can be the first step back to yourself, because when you think less, talk less, and focus more, the world doesn't own you. You own it. 1. Thoughts aren't facts sometimes. All it takes is one thought to ruin your day. It slips in quietly. I'm not good enough. What if I fail? Nothing will ever change. And just like that, your mind spirals. You start living as though these words are absolute truth. But they're not. They're just thoughts, momentary flickers, not facts. The Stoics knew this well. Epictetus reminded us that it's not events that disturb us, but our interpretations of them. And yet, how often do we mistake fleeting inner chatter for solid reality? Imagine standing on a platform at a train station. Each thought is a train. Rolling by, some carry fear, others carry shame, others regret. But here's the thing. You don't have to board any of them. You can let them pass. You can choose stillness. You can remain rooted in the now. This is the heart of Stoic mental training. To observe without reacting. It's not about suppressing thoughts or pretending they don't exist. It's about creating distance. It's about saying, I'm having the thought that I'm not doing enough. That small shift transforms your reality. Suddenly, it's not a verdict. It's just a cloud drifting by. One of my old teammates, a man admired for his calm, once shared something powerful. Every morning he woke up with anxiety, not because of the world, but because of what his mind told him. You're behind. You're screwing up. But one night, after reading Marcus Aurelius, he stopped identifying with those whispers. He didn't try to fight them. He watched them. And slowly, the power those thoughts held began to fade. This is Stoic strength, not about ignoring reality, but seeing it clearly without being consumed. You are not your thoughts. You are the awareness behind them, and that awareness, that's where real power lives. Don't wait for a retreat in the woods or a perfect morning routine. All you need is a few quiet minutes to observe. Ask yourself, is this thought useful? Does it make me stronger or weaker? If it's weakening you, let it go, not with resistance, but with grace. Like a rock you've carried too long. With each release you carve out a little more space, and in that space, clarity emerges. Presence emerges. The kind of presence that can't be faked because it's built from discipline, not noise. The Stoics didn't aim to erase thoughts. They aimed to tame them. They understood that a wild mind will drag you through storms you never needed to enter. But a trained mind, it clears the way forward. So next time that voice whispers, you're not enough, just breathe. Watch the thought float by. And remember, you don't have to ride every train that arrives. 2. The power of saying less. The stronger your soul, the less it needs to justify itself. Marcus Aurelius' some silences create discomfort. Others command attention. In today's world, fast talkers are seen as smart, and those who shout are mistaken for strong. But here's the truth. Choosing silence is not weakness. It's rebellion against your own ego. Your ego wants the last word. It wants to explain, correct, and prove. But the wise man doesn't need to be heard all the time. He just needs to be rooted. I once worked with a guy who said very little in meetings. Everyone noticed it. Not because he was arrogant, but because his silence had weight. He didn't interrupt. He didn't try to sound smart. But when he finally spoke, it was like every word was etched in granite. Calm, firm, intentional, and people listened. He didn't speak to impress. He spoke to contribute. And that made him unforgettable. The Stoics prized this restraint. To speak less is not to be passive. It's to be precise. It's the strength to let the noise swirl without being swept away by it. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the soul becomes stronger when it stays calm amidst chaos. And today, chaos is everywhere. Online arguments, gossip loops, emotional triggers. Saying less isn't cowardice. It's clarity. You don't have to comment on everything. You don't have to respond to every jab. You don't have to defend every action, because every time you react needlessly, you leak energy. You scatter your focus, but when you pause, when you choose your words, you reclaim something rare, inner coherence. The man who speaks only when it matters becomes the man others lean in to hear. 3. Say less. Mean more. The Stoics didn't speak to impress. They spoke with intent. They believed every word should carry the weight of virtue, not vanity. Just like a seasoned fighter conserves his punches, a wise person measures their words, because the wrong word can cut deeper than you meant, and a single well-timed pause, it can dissolve tension faster than 100 explanations. Think back to the last time you spoke on impulse. Maybe it was a defensive remark, a jab, a sarcastic retort. Did it help? Or did it leave you hollow, regretting a truth you didn't mean, or a lie you told just to win the moment? Words spoken out of ego often return as regret, but silence? Silence never needs an apology. Silence gives you space. It hands you back control. It forces you to listen, not to reply, but to understand. And something strange happens when you truly listen. The other person lets their guard down. They feel seen, not challenged. And you think clearer. You stop reacting. You begin choosing. That's the shift. Epictetus taught that the man who controls his impulses eventually learns to control his tongue. And that's where freedom begins, not in being right, but in not needing to prove it. There's a calm that comes with restraint, a presence that grows in stillness. It's not loud. It's not flashy, but it commands attention. Not with volume, but with clarity. We live in a time where everyone wants to speak first, to be heard instantly. But strength today isn't about quick comebacks. It's about strategic stillness. It's about being the person in the room who doesn't talk over everyone, but makes everyone stop when they finally speak. So next time you feel the urge to fire back, pause, ask, is this necessary? Is it useful? Does it reflect the man or woman I want to become? If not, don't say it. Let silence speak for you, because the strongest voice in the room isn't always the loudest, it's the one that chooses when to speak. 4. Control what you can control. There are seasons when everything breaks. Your plans collapse. People betray you. Opportunities vanish. And it feels like the world is conspiring to bring you down. In those moments, a single question becomes your anchor. What now? Most people spiral. Some point fingers, others shut down completely. But the Stoic doesn't. He turns inward. Because while you can't control what life hands you, you can control what you do with it. That's the one power no one can take away. Your response. Epictetus called it the fundamental divide between what's within your power and what isn't. And it's not just philosophical. It's brutal in its clarity. It demands that you take full responsibility for your own mind. Not what happened, but how you carry it. Not who hurt you, but how you heal. You can't stop others from letting you down, but you can stop letting them live in your head. You can't change the past, but you can stop dragging it into your present. The moment you let go of wrestling what you can't change and grip tightly to what you can, you reclaim your footing. Imagine a ship on the sea. This captain can't control the wind or the storm, but he controls the sails, the rudder, the course. A Stoic lives like that captain. He doesn't pretend the storm isn't there. He doesn't wish it away. He asks, where do I still have agency? And he starts there. I once knew a man who lost his business after 20 years. It broke him financially and emotionally. He was consumed with bitterness, unable to sleep, replaying all the ways the world betrayed him. Until one day, he sat down and made 2 lists. What I can't control, what I can. He wrote down his morning routine, his health, his schedule, his attitude. From that moment forward, he didn't just rebuild a business, he rebuilt himself brick by brick, choice by choice. That's the Stoic path. Marcus Aurelius, the man who ran an empire, wrote, that happiness doesn't come from status or people or possessions. It comes from the quality of your thoughts. Even with armies under his command, he knew he couldn't control fate, but he could control his discipline, his inner calm, and his actions. Control doesn't mean perfection. It means presence. It means showing up in the storm and choosing what you will bring to the chaos, your values, your clarity, your groundedness. And if you ever feel lost, come back to this. Ask yourself, what am I trying to control that I can't? Then, ask, what can I do right now that's mine to own? It could be your breath, your next word, your routine, your focus, whatever it is, start there. Because when you focus on what you can control, every action becomes cleaner, every choice becomes stronger, and you stop living like a victim. You start living like a force. 5. Focus on what makes you grow there. That's a quiet war happening in your mind every day. Between the past that pulls and the present that calls. You think it's just a passing thought, but some thoughts are loops. They circle back like storms. Same conversation, the same face, the same pain. A man once commented under a Stoic video, "Every time I move forward, my mind drags me back to a memory, to a person who hurt me. And I lose hours like it's still happening." And haven't we all been there? The real trap isn't the memory, it's the emotional replay. It's that your nervous system doesn't know the difference between then and now when your focus stays fixed on what broke you. But here's the Stoic response. Don't run from the thought. Face it, acknowledge it, and then with resolve declare, "This doesn't get my time today." Even if only for an hour, shift your energy. Channel it into something that makes you stronger. Write, train, create, reflect. Because the Stoics never told us to bottle emotions up, they told us to transform them. To take that ache, that sharp sting, and treat it like a compass pointing to where release is still needed. They turned pain into practice. That transformation begins with a quiet but radical choice. Where do you place your attention? Every time you choose what adds value, every book you finish, every workout you complete, every routine you commit to, you are not just growing, you're sending a message. I'm done wasting days on things I cannot change. You can't control what thoughts appear, but you decide which ones stay. And that repeated decision day after day becomes who you are. That's character, that's direction, that's strength. Not the strength that shouts, the one that shows in how you walk into a room. And how you carry yourself with quiet intent. And how you act while others drown in reactivity. Focus isn't a gift, it's a skill. And like any skill, it sharpens with reps. So next time your mind pulls you back to pain, to drama, to that unresolved what if, don't fight it, don't follow it. Breathe. Acknowledge. Return to your breath. Return to what's right in front of you. Return to what builds, not what bleeds. Because where you focus is what grows, and you are no longer in the business of feeding ghosts. 6. Accept what is. If you're pained by something external, the pain isn't from the thing itself, it's from your perception of it. Marcus Aurelius: most people aren't crushed by the weight of their pain, they're crushed by their resistance to it. They spend years locked in a losing fight with reality, trying to change the past, trying to fix people, trying to rewrite outcomes that have already been etched into time. But the Stoics knew this fight only drains you. The longer you argue with reality, the more powerless you become. Acceptance is not surrender. It's strategy. It's not saying, I'm okay with how it went. It's saying, this is what happened. Now what? It's refusing to let the loss, the betrayal, the failure define your identity. Because the more you cling to how things should have been, the more you stay chained to a fantasy. But the moment you accept what is, you breathe, you release, you reclaim your power. A man once emailed this. He had spent his entire adult life trying to win his father's approval, be the perfect son, the polished professional, the indestructible man, but it was never enough. And then his father died. What broke him wasn't just the loss. It was the weight of the unresolved, the years of performing, the years of waiting to be seen. But then he discovered Epictetus, and something shifted. He stopped waiting for permission to be himself. He started speaking to himself with respect, not because his father finally gave it, but because he realized he didn't need anyone to. That's the moment you stop living in emotional debt. The Stoics taught. You can't control how the world sees you, but you can control how you see yourself. Others filter reality through their wounds. Their rejections are not your worth. And if someone couldn't see you, that's their blindness, not your brokenness. But acceptance also means dropping the guilt. That relentless voice replaying what you should have done. Let it go. The past is not a prison. It's raw material. When you accept it's over, you don't start from scratch. You start from experience. Resilience isn't numbness. It's growth through scars. It's strength with memory, not resentment. Yes, people will drift when you stop seeking approval, but better to walk alone in your truth than be surrounded while disconnected from yourself. So when life doesn't go your way, stop asking, why me? Ask, what now? Start where you are. With what you've got. Not perfectly, but fully. And when you do, you'll feel it. Not hype. Not noise, but something rooted. Real. Unshakable. 7. Embrace silence for clarity. There's a kind of noise that doesn't come from your phone, your inbox, or the street. It hums inside your skull quiet, but relentless. It's the mental static of overthinking, of trying to keep up. To prove. To fix. To respond. All the time. Modern life doesn't just overstimulate you, it fragments you. And in that noise, you don't just lose time, you lose direction. Everything starts blending together. Tasks, opinions, emotions. You move faster, but go nowhere. But here's the Stoic truth. Silence is not emptiness. It's not void. It's sheltered. It's the place where you finally hear you. Not the roles you play, not the metrics you chase, not the expectations glued to your back, just you. One man told me he couldn't sit still for 10 minutes. He equated stillness with failure until one panic attack forced him to stop. No phone. No podcast. No scrolling. Just 5 minutes. And in that silence he cried, not out of sadness, but out of recognition. He had been running for years, trying to outrun truths that only silence could reveal. Now, every day begins with quiet. Not because it's easy, because it's necessary. The Stoics didn't treat silence as a retreat. They treated it as strategy. Marcus Aurelius wrote alone at night. Not to be poetic, but to sort himself, to listen inward before commanding outward. A noisy mind isn't a free mind, it's a trapped one shackled by stimulation. And that's why silence is the Stoic's greatest ally, because when the world quiets, you're left with only what's true. And if you've been chasing the wrong dreams, fighting the wrong wars, you'll finally notice silence doesn't lie to you, but it will confront you. And that's what makes it powerful. It shows you the junk you've been clinging to, the wounds you haven't licked clean, the habits you need to break. So, if you're lost, don't chase another podcast or course. Chase silence. Cut through the noise, not by shouting louder, but by turning it off, because the man who can sit in stillness can act with purpose, and the one who acts with purpose is unstoppable. 8. Talk less. Think more. Most men don't fall because they're too quiet. They fall because they talk before they think. It's not silence that ruins relationships. It's impulsive replies, thoughtless rants, and ego-driven debates. In today's world, everybody's dying to be heard, but few stop to ask, do I even need to speak right now? The Stoics knew your mouth is a sword, and if you don't train it, you'll wound yourself more than anyone else. Talking less doesn't mean being timid. It means being deliberate. It means each word is chosen, not spilled. And that choice, that's where your real power lives. You've seen it, that guy who only speaks when it matters. He doesn't interrupt, he doesn't dominate, but when he opens his mouth, everyone listens, because he's earned it. And how did he earn it? Through restraint, through pause. One man told me he lost it at a family dinner. He snapped over something small, but the truth? The anger had been brewing for weeks. It wasn't what happened that night. It was everything he didn't say before. Everything. He refused to feel. Everything he let simmer, unexamined. Afterward, he felt hollow, because those words, they weren't his truth. They were just echoes of chaos. So, he adopted a rule, 2 seconds before every response, just a pause, but in that pause, freedom. Freedom to choose. To redirect. To act, not react. The Stoics called it the gap, that sacred space between stimulus and response. And the man who learns to live inside that gap, he becomes immovable. He doesn't win arguments with volume, he wins with gravity. With calm. With clarity. He doesn't need to clap back, because silence already said everything. Talking less doesn't mean silencing your truth. It means not letting emotions speak for you. It means asking, am I responding from ego or from wisdom? From hurt or from understanding? From panic or from purpose? You won't always catch yourself, but with practice, you will more often. And when you do, your words gain weight. Because now they come from you, not from your wounds. So next time you feel the need to fire back, don't. Not because you're weak, but because you're strong enough to wait. To breathe. To choose. Because that moment of silence might be the most powerful thing you say all day. If this message spoke to something deep in you, don't let it pass. Like the video to support the mission. Subscribe to join a growing movement of men and women choosing calm over chaos, clarity over noise. And in the comments, share your own story. What thought, what habit, what moment are you choosing to let go of today? Your reflection might be the spark someone else needs. This isn't just content. This is training for a stronger mind. Welcome to StoicCraft.